Hello there, Core is back bringing you yet another review. Today we'll be diving into the movement within Psi-Ops, the Mindgate conspiracy, which is a video game renowned for being a physics and power sandbox of fun and silly shenanigans. But before we start, I want to give another shout out to NannaMelissa for once again making a great piece of art. And now with my mind, we shall start the review. Developed by the now sadly defunct Midway Games, also known for their Mortal Kombat series and numerous other arcade titles, Psi-Ops was released in 2004, featuring some quality use of ragdoll physics, and released a full 5 months before Half-Life 2, which would come to popularize the usage of these mechanics. Psi-Ops is a psychic and power wonderland with a focus on using a variety of psionic powers to combat your foes, coupled with traditional third-person shooting.
Keep moving. All in line. We are in control. Do not attempt to escape. Defiance will not be tolerated. This is the movement.
You are Nick Scryer, an agent of Mindgate, the U.S. military psionic division. You were mind-wiped to hide your powers and disguised as an ordinary soldier to infiltrate the movement, an opposing force that was composed of psi forces from around the world. This movement seeks to gain power and put themselves on top as the elites they believe that they are. The story is pretty good, with a wild cast of unique characters, especially as each one of the bad guys are their own fun bag of insanity, each with varied personalities, quips, one-liners, and a mastery of one type of psionic power.
That's gotta hurt. Those guys will never get ahead with that job. Sorry. Let's move on.
At first, it seems like just another traditional third-person shooter, but quickly you start to reawaken your powers and are able to unleash them upon the meat puppets in a variety of ways. You've got so many different options and ways to kill people with even just one basic power, telekinesis. You could go the basic route of slamming them on a wall, throw them down a pit, fling them into explosives, or vice versa. Throw them at each other, feed them to fans, hold them in the air while you riddle them with bullets, use them as meat shields. Hell, this power is also just very practical. You could use it to make walls, climb ledges, throw loot to yourself. If you know what you're doing, you can use it to fly around and skip what the game intends for you to do. This is just one power out of the 6 you have available, and there's still more that can be done with that one power I'm not going to go on about. Point is, the gameplay is a lot of fun and it's very varied, with lots of tools at your disposal to handle the game in whatever manner you see fit. And that's something I enjoy a lot, a very flexible experience. Just like Anita Sarkeesian trying to secure funding for her latest SJW project. The controls are pretty solid and responsive most of the time, though they can get a bit derpy with the TK. Sometimes you'll miss or throw it the wrong way, but usually it works pretty well, and it's a lot of fun having so much more freedom than you normally get in a game. This is the PS2 version, by the way, and it's also one of those few games that you'll have to have an original controller for, because it's only one of a handful of games that make use of the PS2's pressure-sensitive buttons. The harder you press the lift button, the higher the item goes, and most third-party controllers either don't have this feature or it works like complete ass. I'm looking at you, Mad Cats. Fuck your piece of shit controllers. I'm glad you're dead as a company. The main enemies aren't exactly the most exciting. You've got plenty of the standard fodder enemies. In this game, fittingly called meat puppets. Soldiers jam-packed with implants and brainwashed to serve the movement. At one point, the mind control specialist Leonov literally starts making them run at you as psionically charged suicide bombers. The real variety in style comes in the form of the main bosses / the movement's heads. Each boss has a psionic specialty that they have mastered to the point that it's much more potent and varied. than your variant of the power. Leonov is mind control, Edgar is telekinesis, Wei-Lu is illusion and manipulations, and so on and so on. This makes each boss fight something special, not just a run-of-the-mill, run around circles and shoot it till it dies sort of affair. A tense story coupled with memorable characters and a killer soundtrack, plus some of the early cutscenes where you get to see how the meat puppets are made, really set the tone and style of the game. It's a dark but also humorous game, with several tracks made for it by the band Cold, which is pretty cool. The sound design in this game is pretty damn nice. The enemies yell and scream, curse and get angry, freak out in reaction to your powers. The explosions make nice bang, coupled with the scream and a flying corpse of an enemy. And the highlight's definitely the OST, which features several tracks made for the game by the band Cold, an American rock band founded in Florida. My favorite of which is the main theme, With My Mind, describing in detail as to what he'll do with his mind. Overall, it's an enjoyable experience and a solid performance. A decently pretty game, not the best I've seen on the PS2, but where it shines is how solid the performance is. I mean, you can get a lot of fire, explosions, people and items flying, brains popping, and more, along with full manipulation of many objects in the environment with no slowdown at all. Like, given how much is going on in this game, and for me to not have any slowdown of any kind really speaks volumes to how well optimized it is. I mean, you can ragdoll fling flaming corpses at people and objects, setting said objects alight, or even exploding on impact, depending on what it is. Let's also mention the fact that it's one of the earlier instances of ragdoll physics, and ragdoll physics done really well and responsive to many things. Not to mention things have a varied amount of momentum, which affects how much damage they do to enemies, which is another cool performance-related thing. Honestly, I don't see a lot of downsides. Sure, the game can be a bit clunky and the story can be a bit cheesy at times, but it's a hell of a lot of fun and easily one of the best games I've played in ages. I guess if I had to say anything, it's the lack of variety in the main enemies of the game and the lack of variety in weaponry, which also falls off as you get close to the end of the game in usefulness. But let's be honest, the guns are not the star of the show, and the enemies are meant to be fodder for a reason. Fools to kill in creative and gory ways, like feeding them to a big-ass fan. A true gem of a game, a shining example why I love the old AA market of games. They may not have had the biggest of budgets, but much like today's modern indie scene, they made the games they wanted to make. Sales be damned, but without having almost no crew. Personally, I'd be lying if I didn't recommend this game. It's creative, it's fun, it's well executed with a solid soundtrack, and overall it's probably one of the best games I've played in years. I'd honestly rather play games like this than COD 2 Million Crack Ops. Before I wrap up, I want to give another shout out to the great NannaMelissa for another outstanding piece of artwork. I'd like to ask you to check her out down below and to check out our other stuff as well. This has been Cora, I hope you liked the review, and I'm signing off.